What's up? Happy Tuesday. It's podcast day. If you're listening to the replay, you're probably like, Cheryl, shut up and just get to the show. Why some women cannot afford any diet flexibility. We're going to break it down today. And if you're watching live, I probably will look like a hot mess because it's definitely Florida season. Florida season is, it's in full swing. We're getting the sweatiness out. I'm making sure I'm live. All right, I'm there. It's been a long day. I'm going to give it a few minutes to make sure I see people popping on here. It's been a very long day. Still trying to figure some things out with my own health journey. Today, I'm going to be talking about really what makes it easier for you guys to be a little bit more flexible with your diet, and more specifically, what makes it hard for people to be flexible with their diet. All right, I see some people popping on. Ginger, 2 fitness buffs. I love Instagram handles. It's just so cool. You always wonder where people come up with their names. I'm just Cheryl Nasso, but there's all kinds of interesting names. Guys, all right, so today's episode or topic, if you're watching live, I'm going to be talking about, for those of you guys who feel like you have to watch every little morsel of food. Like it seems like you just look at food and you pack on the calories. It seems like you have to watch everything. You have to weigh everything. You can't ever eat a meal out. It always derails you. I'm going to be breaking down what is actually going on and hopefully help give you guys some strategies to make it a little bit easier for you to be a little bit more flexible with your diet. Because at the end of the day, living lean is not meant to be miserable. It's meant to be enjoyable. So I'm going to pull up my show notes. And if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm talking about, please feel free to chime in. But I am also not looking at the live right now. So if you are watching, make sure you stay put because I'll be answering your questions as I get towards the end of the episode. So if you do have a specific question about anything, make sure that you're detailed as to what you're referencing. Otherwise, I probably will not remember. All right. So I'm going to start with saying we all know those people in our lives where it seems like they can just go out to dinner, they can enjoy a vacation, they can have drinks, they can eat dessert, and somehow they just seem to always look good. Like it seems like they don't have to think about food, but they're just able to maintain it without thinking about it. And then there's you, or there's those women out there that feel like they're just not making any progress. And you're like, man, I've only eaten out like once or twice in the last week, and I chose all of the right things. And I, maybe had a couple of bites of dessert, but it wasn't that big of a deal. And it seems like no matter what you do, you're either gaining weight or you're not losing weight. Or maybe you're somebody who feels like if you're not following your diet to a T, you get, more bloating. Maybe you get some other feedback. Maybe you get more cravings. It just seems like it ends up always being this like start-stop cycle. There's other things that are showing up for you. And most women assume that the difference is it must be my metabolism. It must be metabolism, or it must be my hormones that are making it so hard for me to be able to lose weight, or it seems like it's why it's slowing me down. My hormones are slowing down my metabolism. But honestly, I want you guys to realize that it's usually not a metabolic issue. It really comes down to the difference between women who have built a body and a lifestyle where there is literally no room for flexibility because you've spent the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years always trying to be in an underfed state to lose weight. And now your body has adapted to that. And the worst part about it is the women that struggle the most with being able to be flexible with their diet and get the results they want for themselves are the ones that are trying the hardest. It's, you're in the gym 5 or 6 days a week. You are tracking your food. You're eating super clean. You're always trying to be good. You feel like you're doing all of the right things. It seems like your diet is just not working for you. And it's frustrating. And it's why you likely also never want to follow the diet. You follow it for a few weeks or a few months and you're like, this isn't working, so I'm going to give up. And I want to really help you guys understand what you can do to change this, to actually make your body more adaptable and flexible with the things that you want to be able to do in your life. But most of it starts with recognizing the patterns that you've been stuck in. You've likely spent years and years and years under eating, over dieting. You've probably spent a lot of time focusing on how many calories you're burning. Maybe you've lost weight and regained it over and over again. Maybe you're somebody who ignores recovery. I'm not talking about just in the gym, but you're the person that like wears the badge of honor because you're running on 4 hours of sleep a night and you're trying to keep up with all of the things you have to do in your life, always running on stress and always constantly trying to figure out how to lose weight. This is what's got you stuck. And it's why the biggest thing that I teach all of my clients, and what I'm really big about pushing on my social media, if you're watching this on Instagram, is shifting the mindset between I'm looking to lose 5, 10, 20 pounds to I want to weigh this much and look this way, because the weight you're losing is just the avenue to the life you want to live. And that's why it's important to look at the identity shift that has to happen. And right now, if you're hearing this and you're like, yes, she's speaking to me. I'm the person that is always trying to diet. I'm the person that can't get anywhere. You have to shift out of the diet girl behavior and get into what does it look like to build a lifestyle, a body, and the type of nutrition plan to actually live lean. And it usually requires a lot more than you guys think. It usually requires creating a system, one that is not so fragile, because right now your system is breakable upon every little thing, right? You miss one workout, you eat one meal out, and you're off track, right? So I want you guys to realize how there is no on and off track when you're living lean. Everything is just a big compilation of things, and you've stacked more habits, more nutrition changes, and more training changes in favor of somebody who can live a more flexible lifestyle. And that's what I want for all of you guys. Okay. So hopefully this is resonating with some of you guys. Now, if you're hearing this and maybe you're thinking, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole of reverse dieting, this is where a lot of people run into a problem as well. Okay. Because you've heard you should be eating more, that you're metabolically adapted, and you need to, rebuild your metabolism and all that stuff. There is some truth to reverse dieting, but I'm going to be quite frank with you guys. Honestly, y'all are overthinking it entirely too much. Okay. There are some cases where I will have, especially like female athletes who have been significantly under eating, and they have literally adapted their body to burn on very little. However, it still does not require this slow, gradual grind to healing your metabolism. It's literally, you just have to understand how to feed your body enough to optimally perform. The goal is in reverse dieting. So let's just talk first and foremost, because if you're hearing reverse dieting and you're not knowing what I'm talking about, I want to make sure you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of you guys listening to this have probably heard you're not eating enough to lose weight. And there is some truth to that. But what is reverse dieting? Essentially, it's like I said, you have to break out of diet girl behavior. You've spent so long always eating in a calorie deficit, always restricting yourself. You don't know what it looks like to actually eat enough. And so it's a reverse of what you're thinking right now. It's a reverse of eating less. It's let me optimize at maintenance. Maintenance allows you to make sure that all of your systems are fueled accordingly. So I think we are all conditioned to think that energy expenditure is just exercise and energy intake is just food. But there's actually a lot of things that your body is doing when you're not exercising that require energy. And the food you consume isn't all absorbed the same way. Everybody's gut function is different. It's why we want to optimize the systems with enough nutrition to support the system. And then we can optimize to create a calorie deficit if your goal is fat loss. But first things first, the goal really is truly getting your body to be able to handle more food. Being able to handle more food is going to give you more flexibility. It's not about force feeding yourself for the rest of your life. It's about making sure that you're getting enough to make sure that you are getting the most out of the goals you have for yourself in the gym, making sure that you're showing up in your life with energy. But also, if you're able to handle more food from a metabolic perspective, you can be more flexible with your diet. I think that the main thing is to stop asking yourself, how little do I need to eat to maintain my body, and start learning how to ask yourself, how do I build a body that can actually support more? That is truly the biggest change that you need, and the different minds that you need to be able to overcome this. Okay. Because the women who are truly like looking like they're naturally just lean and flexible, they usually just have overall higher energy outputs. Now, here is what's so important about reverse dieting, and where I want to talk about this is some women, like the reverse dieting thing is not truly what they need. It's truly looking at, okay, calorie expenditure is just too low. And I see this sometimes in the CrossFit gym, people that are hitting the CrossFit gym, 4 to 6 days a week, but their lifestyle is extremely sedentary. And if you're a petite female, let's just say you're 5'3", 5'4" or below, and you're also in the, obviously going into your 40s, 50s and beyond, metabolically, you're just not burning enough calories. And this is where we have to look at not just the reverse dieting. It's looking at, okay, where do we have to make some other lifestyle changes if you truly want to be more flexible with your diet? Okay, so the reverse dieting aspect is one thing, but reverse dieting for the sake of just eating more food isn't going to help somebody who has a very sedentary lifestyle. You need to give your body the more signals that you're actually burning enough energy throughout the day. So obviously, yes, number one, we have to optimize the systems, but number two, we have to look at the energy expenditure component of things. And it's not saying that you have to start walking more, start moving more. It's just saying if you want to live a more flexible life with your nutrition, you have to look at the outputs as well. And the outputs are not so much the calories that you're burning in your workout, it's what's going on in the other 23 hours of your day. So those are the things that we need to talk about. It's not just about hitting the gym harder. It's also looking at other things we can do, making sure that you're building lean muscle mass, making sure that you're getting good sleep, making sure that you aren't, leaving your stress levels on super high alert all day. You want to make sure that you're giving your body the signals of rest and digest, making sure that the main thing is that you're getting enough movement outside of the gym, looking at your digestion, looking at your consistency in your nutrition habits. Again, it's not just calories, it's also looking at the volume of the food and the types of food you're eating. These are all ways to pull levers on increasing your body's ability to handle more food. And most importantly, as I've already talked about, is looking at metabolic adaptability. The body isn't just surviving in these scenarios, it's actually functioning. And that's what we truly want. But many women, maybe this is you're trying to live a maintenance lifestyle on deficit calories. And this is what's holding you back. It's why it's hard, because you want to be able to have date night. You want to be able to have social flexibility. You want to be able to go on vacation. You want to perform well in the gym. You want to get lean. You want to get toned. You want your hormones to feel more regulated. You want to feel more regulated. Maybe you want to have less obsession or thoughts about food. But your problem is you are literally trying to always live in this calorie deficit, like you're trying to be in a photo shoot year round. Like the amount of calories that some women come to me eating, I'm like, this is what a bodybuilder would eat like 6 weeks out from a show. It just does not make any sense. And it's why the weekends and vacations and all that, it always feels like you're literally having to play damage control for all of those things. So the goal is we really need to look at increasing your total daily energy expenditure and making sure that we are giving you enough nutrition to be able to support that. And that's where most women make the mistake with reverse dieting. Yes, like I already mentioned, you increase calories, but you also want to look at increasing capacity. If we overshoot capacity, or if we overshoot calories because capacity isn't there, you're just going to gain weight. And you should not gain weight in a reverse diet. You might see like 1 or 2 pound increase the first, couple of days or the first week, but that's just food volume and glycogen. It's not fat gain. Once that is over, it should simply be a matter of just a trickling down from there. Okay. So we want to make sure that you are taking care of the other variables, not just the food, because the food alone is not going to create more flexibility. You have to look at recovery. You have to look at stress. You got to look at movement. I'm saying the same things. You have to look at your muscle mass, and you have to look at your consistent habits. The women who live lean have dangerously consistent routines. It's very much similar. Even if they're not eating the same thing every day, they have a similar meal structure and they know how to plug and play. It's very, very, very predictable. And they're always focusing on making sure they're getting enough. All right. Your body needs a reason to be able to use more energy. The second thing I think that happens is that a lot of women tend to use reverse dieting like it's a free for all. Like it's always, I'm all in on the diet, or I'm like, I'm off the diet. And that's not teaching you anything or any awareness. We want to make sure that we are looking at building lifelong habits and structure and routine. And this is why it's also so important for women to look at the identity shift that has to happen. I've already talked about breaking up with diet girl behavior, but I'm no longer a dieter. I am somebody who values my body. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel independent. I want to feel in control. I want this stuff for myself. It's no longer operating in survival mode. I have structure. I have routine. I have learned how to manage my cravings. I have learned better structure. All of that stuff matters. And you're going to start to feel so much better when you take an approach this way. And I think the biggest mistake that happens is for a lot of women, maybe this is you've likely lost weight in the past, or maybe you've been successful, but you have plateaued. You end up staying in a fat loss phase entirely too long. And then what happens is you chronically underfeed yourself. That becomes more natural to you. So it doesn't feel good to eat more. You end up literally being afraid of even adding butter to your rice. Like there's so many things that happen. Your body just adapts. You end up moving less and don't even realize it. Little things that were causing you to burn more energy are no longer burning energy. Your recovery is bad. You start to think about food all the time. It makes it harder for you to stay consistent on the weekends. And even that alone can cause adaptation, because if you're chronically somebody who is overeating on the weekends and under eating during the week, you're giving your body those signals that it's literally going into a famine every single week. So your energy in your workouts is going to suffer. Like it might feel good Monday or Tuesday because your glycogen's topped off, but by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're going to be hitting a roadblock. All right. So those are all things that matter when we're talking about this stuff. The longer you underfeed yourself, the harder it is going to be to get out of this cycle, but you can break out of the cycle. Your metabolism is not broken. Like you're not dealing in with this situation that's detrimental. It can be fixed very quickly as long as you take action. It's just that your body is right now operating in survival mode. So here's the main way to fix this. All right. You have to focus on looking at the inputs and the outputs, and inputs and the outputs, not the exputs. Okay. So first and foremost, you have got to stop focusing on the scale and eating less, because that's what you've been focusing on for a very long time and it's getting you nowhere. All right. So if you truly want to increase your body's ability to be able to be more flexible with food, you have to look at, how do I build a body that can handle more food? This looks like making sure that you are doing progressive overload. You're hitting the gym and you're lifting weights, making sure that you have a routine step count that you can be consistent with from day to day, and knowing if you need to pull that lever because you want more diet flexibility. Okay. Looking at daily movement, looking at your recovery. All right. So are you actually taking time to be mindful of your recovery throughout the day? How is your sleep? Eating enough protein and eating enough fiber. These two things are going to be the biggest thing, along with food quality in itself. So if you're getting all of your macros from processed foods and protein shakes, you are going to have less of a metabolic energy expenditure or less of a energy expenditure than if you're eating a more whole food based diet. So these things do matter. That's why I'm very big about my clients building more whole food based meals, and obviously filling the gaps with the fun stuff. Okay. It's not that you can't have those things, but it's on a regular basis. We are building a body that is supporting metabolic function, supporting digestion, making sure that your gut motility is good, looking at stress, and obviously getting out of that out of the cycle of like overeating and feeding yourself enough when you're eating out socially, only to underfeed yourself. It's not removing the social eating. It's building a diet that can handle the social eating. So looking at the other days, again, going out of the mindset of like eating less to make up for it. It's I've got to eat enough to get next weekend to be better. And just really honestly spending some intentional time looking at learning the inputs, or looking at learning at how your body is managing the inputs you're giving it, and learning how to work with it, not always fighting it. Because flexibility is not going to be built when you're constantly building restrictive rules that are making it hard for your body to feel safe. You have to learn how to build capacity to be able to handle those things. And the goal should always be to get in and get out of fat loss, not to live in fat loss forever. You want your body to be resilient. You don't want your body to be so fragile. And that's truly how women that transition into a place where they are living lean have gotten to. You know, we can all talk about our diet history, right? I've got my own diet baggage, but it took me a long time to get to a place where I felt confident, knowing that like my body can handle the food it can handle. And now I understand how to work with my body, not against it. So if this is hitting home for you and you are struggling because you're like, it just seems like I'm getting nowhere. Okay. I know that the solution sounds hard, but the solution is actually very easy if you let go of the expectations. And believe it or not, if you do take action on this, you will find that you are more successful in the next 6 months than you've been in the last 6 years. I promise you. And if you need help with that, I would love to hear from you. So you can shoot me a DM, comment below, or if you go into the show notes, if you're listening on live, there is a link to book a call with me. So, but I'm going to pop over here to see if anybody has any questions or anything like that. I don't see any questions. So any questions? Any other topics today before I sign off? I know I'm late in the day today, and normally I don't podcast this late, but I had a busy day. Business is booming. My clients are awesome. All right. Well, then I am going to hop off. If y'all have any other questions, feel free to shoot me a message, and I will talk to you guys all next week. Bye.